All right, Andy Hooper, welcome to the Grind Diaries.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks ever so much for coming along. It's been quite a long journey trying to get you on, because obviously you were probably one of the first people I ever spoke to about doing this podcast.
Yep.
Because for those of you that don't know, I used to work for Andy, and I was working for Andy at the time that I decided I wanted to do this. So yeah, you were probably one of the first people that I spoke to, but obviously, you know, studio being up in London made it a little bit tricky. But now that we've got this amazing new studio down in Southampton, it's great to have you along. So yeah, really appreciate you taking the time. Typically, you've been in London all day though, so we could have made it work.
I'm not quite sure how that works, but yeah, I've been in London all day. But yeah, thanks for having us on.
Yeah, not at all.
Appreciate
not
it.
at all. So, CEO of GE Capital, a business that basically acquires businesses and helps them globally expand. Have I got that right?
We acquire or invest in businesses to help our brands that we work with globally expand. So virtually, but we don't invest in businesses to expand them. We invest in businesses to help other brands, e-commerce brands, to globally expand.
Got it. So when I first started working for you, it was just GE, Global E-commerce Experts, and that was a business that focused on expanding brands mainly from the US into the UK and Europe. So now what you're doing, if I've got this right, is you're buying or investing in other businesses that can support that. So you're almost kind of like, you've got the end-to-end journey in terms of services. Now you're kind of going beyond that to help expand those services for the brands that you're working with.
Yeah, exactly that. Any business, as they scale and grow, sort of grows webs and feet and trails and everything else. And what we were finding as the business scaled and grew, we wanted to achieve more and do more. And one of the ways of adding revenue, adding clients and skills and expertise is to acquire businesses into the group. Mm-hmm. So what we did is we started looking at how we could do that and what we needed and what we didn't need. And then we went on this buying journey where we've either 100% acquired businesses into the group, or we've taken equity stakes in businesses, again, to put them in the group, but so they can flourish on their own where the owners wanted to stay in. Because not everyone wants to sell their business, but not everyone wants to do it on their own either. And there's a real delicate balance of trying to get that right. And ultimately, most businesses want a healthy, successful business. And sometimes it's better to do that with a partner that can support you.
Yeah. So from your perspective then, are they more interested in your investment, the investment element, or are they more interested in your expertise to help them to scale quicker? Or is it that they get to benefit from your clients, or is it a mixture of all three?
Well, the answer, in all honesty, is a mixture of all three. So, when we're doing 100% acquisition, we're bringing them into the fold of what was now our software company expanding. So it's nice and easy. The software company heads it up. We've got a few little divisions underneath where people are, operating on businesses that are operating at different levels or at different stages or in different niches. But, that's 100% acquisition. But the equity one, and take a warehouse as a great example, we want warehouses in 24 countries. To enable global expansion, we need that.
Yeah.
Our goal is to enable global expansion at a click of a button. So you'd be able to go to some software, click a button and expand your business to Germany, Australia, the US, India, Japan, literally at the click of a button. But in order to do that, you need warehouses in those locations to have stock.
Yeah.
One thing I learned from running warehouses is that it's really hard to run a warehouse and a software company, and to do it really, really well. So the model we ended up going down, which is the investment piece, is we actually take a 25% equity stake in those businesses, typically for a business owner that's A, looking for some investment, 2, plateaued where they are and can't work out how to get to the next level, and thirdly, just want someone to do it with.
Yeah.
And we come in and support them with that, and then we help them scale and grow, one, by our ecosystem of our other businesses, but secondly, through STEMS, which is like my framework of how to scale and grow a business, scale and grow a business.
Yeah.
So you end up with like the triple whammy.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. So, I mean, that's got to take some doing though, right? So, when I was a part of your business, you'd you were the kind of, e-com expert. You were the guy that people went to if they wanted to expand, and then you would do the kind of top level services. I think at the time we were one of very few businesses, if any other businesses that offered all of those services as an end-to-end solution. Yeah. So then since there, you've now kind of spread out even further. So you're kind of, I guess you're just staying ahead of all the competition because your solution is going to be so much more rounded than everybody else's.
Yeah, I guess that's part of it. I think that as a business owner, you have to continually progress as an individual. Mm-hmm. And everyone's idea of progression is completely different, and they go on in their own roadmap. And for me, what I was finding, I was running the business, but we did an acquisition and it failed because I was too involved in the business. And then I started to extract myself from the business because everyone thinks that, the words are, don't work on your business.
Got it.
But the problem with that is one word, and that's work. Because you're still working in and you're still working on the business. So what I learned over pain, in all fairness, was that you don't want to work in or on it. You want to soar above it. So how do you soar above the business so you can see it in a completely different way that enables the business to flourish even when you're not in it? Because when you're not in it, you can then acquire other businesses. So today we've got, I don't know how many businesses we had at the time, but we've got 10 now, and those 10 businesses are in the UK, Europe and the US. And we're looking for 21 other countries to be in the next 3 years.
Yeah, that's impressive. I'm pretty sure it was only the 2, wasn't it? Because I was literally involved in the acquisition of Expandly. I helped integrate that into the business. And then, I think that's as far as we got. To be at 10 in a matter of a couple of years is mental. And I guess the other thing is if you're working too heavily on the business or in the business, if you ever got to a point where you wanted to kind of completely exit, then that makes it really difficult because you're sort of a key cog in that business. Whereas if you step away, let other people run it, then all of a sudden it can run.
Yeah. Typical valuation of a business doing under $1 million in profit or turnover, but typically they're one and the same thing. Typically the business's value is a multiple of its profit.
Yeah.
So typically, if a business is doing under $500,000, let's say, which is the majority of businesses in the UK, and the founder or the owner is running the business, it's a multiple of 1, 2 or 3, depending on various factors. Mm-hmm. The business owner will think it's a 20 times multiple, right? Yeah. But put that into perspective. You've got a business that's doing 100 grand profit, and let's say it's a 3 times multiple, right? So they get 300 grand. Right. So the exit value of that business is 300 grand. But now switch it the other way. The business, instead of doing 100 grand, doesn't have the owner operating in the business. There might be 50 grand excess there, right? So it's 150 grand. But now it's a 5 times multiple because the owner isn't inside the business. Someone can pick it up and run it even without the owner in it. So now you've got 150 grand times 5 is 750 grand. Blimey. So you've got a 450 grand net difference by you not being involved in the business. So that's why you want to extract yourself. And then the other thing is that it's easier to run 10 businesses than it is 1. Really? Because when you run 1, you're involved in the 1. Yeah. You can only be involved in it. As opposed when you're running 10, you can't run any of them. So you can't go and chase different pieces because you ain't got time.
You're just looking at kind of top level metrics of each rather than being in the weeds and the...
So every business owner, when they scale and grow a business, they want to extract themselves, is they need 3 things. They need visibility, trust, and confidence. Mm-hmm. So those 3 things, it's trust in the team that they're doing what you think they should be doing, visibility on the numbers, metrics you just talked about, and then confidence in the plan. So it's about how you get sight on that, at what intervals, to enable the business to work without you and to give you the trust, visibility and confidence.
Yeah, got it. Yeah. So that's quite an exciting journey for you personally as well then, right? Because you're kind of going from running the business, and you were heavily involved in the business when I was there, you're pretty much in the office most days, involved in all the key decisions. And now you're you're kind of stepping away and you're just, I guess from your perspective now, you're analysing, trusting, perhaps helping with the strategy a little bit, kind of tweaking little bits.
And that's 3 years in. So it takes 3 years to fully extract yourself from most businesses.
Yeah.
But then, I've been trying to do it for 5 years. So it took me 5 years. I was trying to extract myself when you were there.
Right.
But I was still, as you said, I was still in the business because my mentality was, well, I've gone from working in to working on, but I'm still working on.
Yeah.
So how do I then extract myself even further? So like Expandy, which is now what it's all virtually under, because it's under software.
Yeah.
And when you talk about multiples, software is even higher multiple, which is even better. I go to that office once a month.
Really?
If that sometimes. This month, we're in November, it's halfway through, give or take. I haven't been to that office yet.
Really?
I'm not going this week, and I'm in Cape Town next week. I was in Austin last week. I won't go this month at all.
Blimey.
But I've got a team in place that are constantly delivering, and I get weekly metrics and monthly metrics.
Yeah.
And you analyse those.
Yeah, amazing. I'm really interested to get into the kind of journey of it. As you may know, I'll start this podcast with one main question. What is your definition of success?
Success is what makes you happy. Because success means different things to different people. And I have, inside our STEMS framework, I have this triad of things that make you happy, right? There's 3 things broadly. There's you, the business owner or the individual. There's the business, which can make you happy and can piss you off, annoy you, I don't know where, that can frustrate you. And then you've got your family unit.
Yeah.
And getting that triad is really difficult. So 3 examples. So think of a bodybuilder. Yeah. A bodybuilder is literally in the gym all the time, eating the right food. Very rarely do you see that person with a successful business. Right? I'm not saying it's not possible, because of course it's possible, but they're so focused on their fitness and their health, that's what they live for.
Yeah.
You then take a family man. A family man is really good at being a family man. They probably don't have a business. They're probably keeping themselves together, but their focus is their family. Mm-hmm. They're running their kids everywhere. They're doing everything for their wife. Again, nothing wrong with that whatsoever. But they probably haven't got a successful business. Then take the other end of the extremes. Elon Musk, hugely successful in business, 12 wives, 15 kids, like personal life. He's not exactly the picture of health, and his family unit's screwed. You can't have everything. So you have to decide in that pyramid what's important and what's not important, and where you spend your time. That sort of work-life balance.
Yeah.
But it's about how you align all that stuff. So success for me is how you align those 3. Yeah. Are you fit? Is your business working? And is your family happy?
Yeah, that's really interesting. And I like what you say about work-life balance, because it's a bit of a topic at the moment, isn't it? Like a lot of people talk about work-life balance, and I don't really feel. You might correct me, but I don't really feel, especially for somebody starting out, that work-life balance is or should be a thing. Because as you say, out of that pyramid, if you've decided, I want to start a business and I want to, you've got to put everything into that, right? You can't just go, I'm not going to work on it today because I'm going to take the kids out for the day, or I'm not going to do it. I'm going to take a week. There's got to be like a tipping point.
Yep.
So, how realistic is work-life balance in a business situation?
It's not. It's bullshit.
Yeah. That's exactly.
And the reason I say that is because nothing comes without pain. So there's a couple of things. So one is about making sure that everyone in that triad, you, the family unit, and the business are aligned.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. But hustle culture is a business takes hustle, grind, right, to make something happen. So if I go back to when I first started my business in 2008-9, just after the financial crash, we started doing wedding photography. Well, we started a number of other things, but the first thing was wedding photography. I had a full-time job, so I'd get up, go to work, take the kids to school or walk the dog, all that sort of stuff, go to work, come home, have dinner with the kids, and then at 8 p.m, once the kids had gone to bed, I'd then go and do my side hustle. I'd go to bed at midnight or 1 a.m. virtually every night. So I had a balance Was it the right balance? Possibly, possibly not. But our family was aligned.
Yeah.
So, and what I mean by that is that, we didn't have, we were renting a house, we didn't have the cash, and we were doing the wedding photography to save up cash to make the deposit for a house. That's what we did. So my wife knew that we were aligned, that I'm doing this because of this.
Yeah.
So it's really important that if you are going to get into business and start a business, that you bring your family unit along that journey to support you. And that's where you create the triad, but make sure it's aligned. Because if it's not aligned, I think something like 20% of divorce is 20% higher in business owners because of the stress, the complications and everything else that it takes. It just does. So that's why you've got to make sure that everything's aligned, because your work-life balance can be out of balance, but you can still be aligned.
Yeah.
And that's how the most successful people do it.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, like this word balance, like it's like I said, it's such a hot topic at the moment. And even with, a health journey, right? I think like, how can you lose a lot of weight staying in balance? Like surely you've got to go out of balance, because balance to me is different to what balance to somebody else could be, and I'm guessing it's the same in business, right?
I mean, like weight's a great one. I typically go to the gym 6 to 8 every morning. We go to the same gym, we see each other. But this month, I was in London for a week. I was in Austin for a week. I've been in London for a week. I'm going to South Africa for a week. Like, you're just out of your usual routine. So this month, I should have just taken a fat jab and just spent a month on a fat jab, because I'd have kept my weight down. When you're away, you're eating out, you're having a couple of drinks, you're entertaining, you're meeting guests. So it's almost impossible. I think what you're getting to there is that the balance comes that when you're not doing that stuff, then you are in the gym religiously an hour a day, 2 hours a day, or moving.
Yeah. I think it is hard, isn't it? Because consistency is the key to everything, right? So if you get up every morning and work on your business from 8 a.m. till 7 p.m, chances are you're going to be successful. But things get in the way. Things come along, and it's the same with the gym. If you're religious and you're in the gym,
Well, interesting on that. Everything that works is consistent boringness. So, it's repetitive tasks, day in, day out. Like the gym isn't exciting. You're literally going in, lifting the same weights, day in, day out. It's boring. But the consistency enables the growth. And business is exactly the same as that. It's going to work and doing the same things repetitively, consistently over a 10-year period. It's not a 10-week period, 10 years. Because people are like, you got 10 businesses, Andy. Yeah, but you forget 20 years ago, I didn't, and it was side hustles. So consistently working, consistently doing those things.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So we'll, if you don't mind, we'll go back and talk about how you kind of started that journey and how you've kind of gone from the wedding photography side hustle all the way through to owning 10 businesses. But how do you overcome that boredom? Because I think that's where, I'm speaking for myself here, but I think a lot of people would probably struggle, is like, I go to a gym and I can feel really, really motivated and really want to get up for a week. Second week, I don't really want to do it, but I'm going to do it anyway because I want to be disciplined. Third week, it's like, I can't do it anymore. And then what I tend to do is I tend to mix it up. Then at least I'm exercising. So like, put that into a business perspective. Can you mix it up? Is there other tasks you can do? Or is it literally, no, you just have to be like blind focus, and you just have to be super disciplined just to get through those tasks?
So as you go through different stages of the business, you can do different things. So at the beginning, you just got to grind it out. You just got to do the boring stuff consistently. It's making 10 phone calls a day. It's making 10 outreaches a day. It's answering 10 emails a day. It's making 10 podcasts a day. It's just constant, consistent, repetitive work. As you scale and grow, what you can then do is work out what the bits that are boring for you and outsource them.
Yes.
So, today I've been on a train from London from 7:30 in the morning. I had a breakfast meeting between 9 and 12 for a possible acquisition. It's exciting. You're going to meeting someone to go and talk about acquiring their business. I then had lunch with someone, 12:30 till 2:30. Nice to have some lunch with someone, catch up with some people and to do some networking. And then I come here to do a podcast. All the boring stuff, outreach, answering my emails, is all done by other people.
Yeah.
To enable me to do this, and people, that must be tough. It's $1,000 a month. It's not that expensive for me to outsource some of that stuff.
Yeah.
So as you go through different stages in your journey, you can do different things that enable you to mix it up.
Yeah.
I mean, my goal is to never answer an email again. Because all an email is someone else giving you work to do. Why do you want that? I've literally zero. I've got 10 businesses. I don't need anyone giving me a job.
Yeah.
I just don't need it. So virtually every email, though, needs to be answered in some way or another, which is why you have someone to do it for you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. And part of the reason that I really wanted to do this podcast is exactly that. People look at you and go, I want to do that. I want to go to London, do breakfast meetings, lunch, come back, do a podcast. That's the life I want.
Yep.
But what they're forgetting is the 10 years that you spent not doing that and doing all the shit bits to get there.
People always want to fast track success.
Yeah.
And there's no fast track to success. And you said, what is success? I mean, I'm saying that's success. I mean, it's not in my eyes, but a lot of people would say, 10 companies, significant revenue would be like, yeah. I mean, for me, it's a journey. I'm just part of it. I think you've got to be careful of what success, coming back to what success looks like, is different for everyone and not push things. Yes, I have the ability to do this, and talks about being in Austin, going to Cape Town. I can only do those things because I've been through the grind.
Yeah. I think it was Jimmy Carr that said, everybody wants what I've got, but nobody wants to do what I've done to get there.
100%. 100%. Yeah. No one wants to do the 1 a.m., 2 a.m. Working through till then. No one wants to get up at 5 a.m. and go to the gym, or get up at 5 o'clock and go and drive a car and go somewhere. No one wants to get on a flight and go to China. Everyone's happy to go to Austin and Cape Town, but no one wants to go to China. Yeah. You just got to do some of that stuff sometimes.
Yeah. Do you think that's what differentiates, the winners from the people that perhaps aren't as successful? Is it that kind of hunger and that drive that leads you to grind out those bits that nobody else wants to do?
Yes, consistently boring work. I mean, I'm probably playing that down. It's not always boring, right? But it's being able to do the same things repetitively, consistently. Most people do not want to do it.
No.
And what happens is they do it for a week. You talked about going to the gym and stuff. There's a difference between motivation and discipline. Are you motivated or are you disciplined? Because you can be motivated to go to the gym, but you're not disciplined enough to turn up.
No.
So how do you balance those two and go, don't make it sound out like I'm perfect. I could have gone to the gym once or twice this week, probably fitted it in it just wasn't in my normal routine, so I didn't go. Yeah. So I was motivated, but I wasn't disciplined.
Yeah.
And that's the same for everything.
Yeah.
It's about the discipline. Alarm goes off at 5:30. You get up. You do whatever you do until 6 o'clock. You arrive at the gym at 6 o'clock. You do your 6 till 7. Do the 7 till 8. It's just monotonous. It's discipline.
Yeah, and motivation fades, right? And
100%.
But discipline lasts. And and I think I find now, and I wish I knew this 20 years ago, but. Now I'm I know it doesn't matter how much I don't want to do something. This morning, getting up for spin.
Yeah.
Freezing cold.
Yeah.
Right. I couldn't even drive my own car. I had to borrow my son's car, which is leave it running for 20 minutes to warm it up. And it was just oh man, this is, not great. It was 5 a.m., maybe a bit later. And it was just I really could just do without it.
Yeah.
I know though, in the back of my mind, if I don't do it, I would beat myself up all day.
Yeah.
And I know that, that's not really worth it.
See, I'm relatively lucky. I don't necessarily have much of a guilty conscience.
Do you know?
Which you probably know.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really look back and worry about what I've not done, because I think that eats I think that is what eats people up. Like, the past is gone.
Yeah.
All I'm looking at is where am I going? Where do I want to get to? And how am I going to do that? Because otherwise you spend so long worrying about the past, it's history.
Yeah.
Like, someone said to me once, history, man, it's in the past. Like, it is. Great. Doesn't affect me then. So let's move on. How do we get from where we are now to where we want to get to?
Yeah.
And that's the important part.
Yeah, that is a really interesting perspective, to be fair, because you're basically saying, like, what are you dwelling on? Just crack on, make sure you go tomorrow kind of thing.
Literally irrelevant. Like, we all worry about, this person said this to me once. Okay, so? Like, it literally doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, you are where you are now, and if that's where you want to get to, what do you got to do to achieve that, to make that work?
Yeah.
And that's the important part, because time and time again, it's just irrelevant.
Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting. I must take that on a little bit. But then is that going to give me more excuses not to go to the gym?
I won't give you an excuse to go to the gym and motivate you to go next time.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So yeah, if you don't mind, then just take us back a little bit and do you mind just talking us through how where did the idea come from to start the business, and how did it kind of develop over the years to lead you to where you are now? Like, what was the the kind of change in mindset as you went through that period?
So I've always had a hunger to make cash. So even when I was a kid, I'd sell stuff at school and like try and barter and whether it's a garage sale or buy some sweets and sell them at school. Paper round. I used to be the one going in, doing a paper round, but I was doing everyone's paper round. So before everyone turned up, I'd get all the papers in the right order so that they could come and pick them up, because I just wanted to earn the cash.
Yeah.
And then as the years went on, I ended up through a long journey, which ended up working for Royal Yachting Association or British Sailing.
Yeah.
Basically, people that are like the FA of sailing. Their job is to get more people into sport and put people in an Olympic pathway.
Yeah.
And I love the job, but any job you love doing pays really badly.
Yeah.
So 2008, 2009 crash happened, and I had $5,000 on a credit card. And what I used to do is bump the 5K that I had on the credit card from one 0% to another 0%. It was 12-month 0%. So you could basically keep it at $5,000, pay off the minimum amount, but it was 0%, didn't really matter.
Yeah.
You just bump it from one to the other.
Yeah.
But what happened during the crash was they stopped all that and then whacked 40% on top of it. So basically you then had to pay the interest on top of that, and I couldn't afford it. So I sort of go in, knock on the door at work and say, hey, I got no money. There's a crash. Can I have some more cash, please? And they're like, you do realise there's a recession and no one's got any money. I'm like, yeah, but I'm doing a great job. Can I have some more cash, please? No. So, and it was completely understandable, by the way. It's not like I was cross by it. I was like, well, I've got to find ways to solve that. So did a few things. So we first started finding out what we had at home that we could sell, did car boot sales. So go and do a car boot sale. And then people would give us stuff to go and do a car boot sale. And then one day, car boot sale is about, for those people that don't know what a car boot sale is, basically a field, you turn up in your car with a load of crap in your boot and you try and flog it.
Yeah.
And it's about I think it was £6.50 to get in. I don't know what it is now, but it's probably a similar amount. So you turn up in your car and you give the person £6.50, and that gives you a slot for your car to sell stuff. We didn't have the £6.50. So we were going around down the backs of the sofas, we're going down the car, we went everywhere to find this £6.50, and we didn't get it. And in the end, I had to ask my mother-in-law for a £5 to borrow to go and do this car boot sale. That's how bad broke we were.
Bloody hell.
So then what happens, we were doing these car boot sales, and then at car boot sales, I'd see other stuff, I'd be like, I could sell that for more than that here. So I was buying stuff at car boot sales and flipping it on eBay. Then I got into e-commerce, and then I started buying stuff from China and selling it on Amazon. And then my dad photographed my cousin's wedding. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. So I helped him photograph a wedding, and then a friend said, would you photograph my wedding? I was like, I don't photograph weddings, I'm not very good at this. I don't matter, we just want some snaps. Sure. And at that point, I realised I could make some cash from it. We did a whole load of other things, but that was so anyway, so we did that. Then I got enough money for the deposit for the house. Then we got enough money to leave in paid employment. And I set up 2 businesses, Lime Sports and 3D Wedding Figures. 3D Wedding Figures was 3D scanning you on your wedding day and printing you in a 3D model, full colour, to give you an exact replica of you on your wedding day.
Oh, no way.
Or before the wedding, 3D scanning you and you being a cake topper. So it's an exact replica of you on top of your cake.
Right.
Brilliant. Bit ahead of its time. And I would probably do it significantly different now. But anyway, so we did that sports consultancy. But I was a really busy fool. So coming back to the grind, right? I had the 3D Wedding Figures, I had wedding photography, and I had a sports consultancy. I was working 7 days a week, 15 hours a day. Yes, I was probably putting in 150 grand across all of them, but I didn't have any time and I weren't seeing anyone. And I wanted to see if there was a better way of working. So I went to my accountant and said, I'd quite like to do some management consulting. Any ideas how I might get into it? Just as come and do some stuff for us. We could do with some help. Anyway, basically by adding some links selling into their business, doubled their business virtually overnight.
Blimey.
Off the back of that, and my e-commerce background, the rules were changing for VAT. Mm-hmm. So overseas businesses in 2016, if you were selling on a marketplace, had to have a VAT number.
Yeah.
And that VAT number is what got me the idea to set up Global E-commerce Experts, to then go, well, we could start doing VAT compliance. I know Amazon, my partner knew VAT. Actually, we could combine this together. And then from there, we started scaling the business, and it just doubled year in, year out. And it just kept on going and going and going.
And I'm guessing COVID probably helped that?
Yeah, so, I mean, COVID, our business stayed on the same trajectory. It just kept on doubling. So even during COVID, it doubled.
Yeah.
But we were already doubling. It definitely helped.
Yeah.
100%. But the COVID was also Brexit as well. So because of Brexit, we then opened a warehouse in the Netherlands because we'd opened a warehouse in the UK. So we then had operations in the UK and Europe. We also had the business here. It doubled. It sounds great, but there was a lot of shit happening inside the businesses that needed solving.
Mm. Yeah, and that's I guess that's the tricky part, isn't it? Because from people on the outside looking in, they go, "Wow, this is incredible. I'd love to be you," but they actually don't realise, that it's like that picture of the person that's like underwater and smiling up here, but paddling like mental below to stay afloat.
When you're growing a business really quickly, there are typically 3 areas of the business that fall down: sales and marketing, operations, or finances. Mm. And typically, if you're a really good salesperson, what's happening is sales is going really, really well.
Yeah.
But the problem is, because you're good at sales and marketing, the operation or the finances get completely left behind.
Yeah.
So you screw up either the operation or the finances. The same goes in any version of that, right? Mm. You could be really good at the finances, but ultimately you might be crap at the sales and marketing because there's not enough leads coming through.
Yeah.
If you're really good at the operation, again, the finances might screw. So you can play around with those in any vertical or any way, but ultimately, unless you're a business owner that can understand all of those and basically soar above them all, you're just gonna make life very complicated for yourself.
Yeah, yeah, and then I guess you end up with a business that's. Did you ever end up with like feeling like you'd taken on more than you can handle, or was it more a case of getting the right people in to make sure you can handle it? Because it's what I always think about businesses that grow, especially that grow at the pace that yours have. Do you? So as an example, bit of a sidetrack, but I used to work in invoice financing, and the part of the business that I used to work in was construction, because of course construction, to get invoice financing is a pain in the arse, because you've got the surveyors will say you haven't done a good enough job, so we're not paying you the whole. So it's always a bit of that. And the biggest thing that we found in construction, the construction businesses that we worked with, is that it wasn't that they weren't getting enough businesses that made them fold. It was that they were getting too much. Yeah. They were getting too much businesses, and like you said, probably weren't sorting their finance and invoicing out quick enough. Then they weren't being able to pay their people. Their people stop working. Then they don't finish the job.
Yep.
And then nobody's paying them at all. And then that's how they collapse.
So great example of that. We're talking about a business we're acquiring up in the north of England a couple of weeks ago. Went to see them, and it's like, I can't understand why we don't have any money. And they don't have a cash flow forecast. They don't do financial reporting. But ultimately, what we got to the bottom of was their clients pay them in 30 days, but their suppliers want the money in 15 days. Mm-hmm. So there's always a void of 20 days where they've got no cash because they've paid all the money out to suppliers, but the clients haven't paid them yet. So there's always a void. And most people, because they don't understand those sort of things, they're just like, oh yeah, well, these are your terms, these are the terms, and off they go. Yeah. And they're like, why have we never got any money? It's because they haven't really understood the business. Yeah. And the problem when you work inside the business too much is you can't see any of those metrics because you don't know what you're looking for. Yeah,
you just see the money, you see the sales bit going well, you think, okay, this is all going great, but you actually got and I guess this is why businesses like Tesco's do so well, because they're kind of the flip to that, aren't they? They're buying stock in that they've got to sell within a week or two because they've got, but they're not paying them for 90 days. So it's like they get all that cash just sat in their bank whilst the poor old suppliers are struggling like mad.
And that's what you want to do. I mean, typically, once we've done an acquisition, we have something called SAP, stop all payments. Because most businesses have got far too much too many expenses. They don't actually remember what they've got. Little subscriptions here, little subscriptions there. You know, they're paying this person over here. They don't really need to be paying. So what we do is we have a process called SAP, stop all payments. So you go in, stop all payments. For 30 days, and you see what comes through the woodwork. Yeah. That's it. And then what happens is, imagine you've got 100 grand that goes out every month. You've just saved yourself 100 grand in a month. Obviously, some of that's got to go back out again. What you can then do is, in a distressed business, is you can renegotiate those. Yeah. So it gives you the ability to extend your financial terms and give capital to the business straight away. Yeah. So it's about how you engineer some of that stuff.
Yeah, got it. That reminds me a little bit of when you first acquired Expandly, and you said to me, right, Ant, I want you to, kind of integrate it. I want you to kind of lead the integration. I was like, oh, this is great. I can't wait. And then you said to me, right, we're going to triple everyone's prices. I was like, what the hell are we doing? And but it was crazy because the end product was, we ended up with about a quarter of the businesses still in play, but actually we had more revenue coming in with less clients, and all of a sudden you've got a business model that you can really start to kind of scale.
And that are exactly the sort of things we do in different businesses where they're just busy fools. Yeah. So you've got 100 clients that are paying you 100 grand, but actually you only need 30 clients paying you 100 grand. Yeah. And all of a sudden you've got all that profit because you don't need all the staff to service that. No. All of a sudden you can just strip the business down, and most people don't charge enough. So like Expanding was a great example, just double or triple the prices and just overnight. Yeah. Well, it's just too cheap. You don't like it, okay, fine, you can leave. Yeah. Because the business isn't sustainable with it. I'd rather have a sustainable, profitable business and serve people that need the product than just give it away for free.
Yeah. And there's like an old saying, isn't there? I guess it's your big businesses. It's the ones that bring you lots of revenue that seem to be the least issue. It's the small little, kind of 30, 40 quid a monthers that are the ones that cause you the most work.
So it's the 80-20 rule. Yeah. Right? 80% of your clients you won't hear from. Yeah. But the 20% will give you the most amount of work. Yeah. Just inevitable. And the 20% that you hear from are the ones that don't pay you any money. Yeah. It's exactly that. We've had some massive clients, never had any issues. As soon as you get a small client, issues. Yeah. Because you're dealing with someone's kid's inheritance. Yeah, yeah. And as soon as they're a small business, they give you a product, this glass, right? I'm holding a glass in my hand. That's their kid's inheritance. So if you screw it up, you're responsible for that. But if you're dealing with the logistics manager, it's not their kid's inheritance. It's not they don't care. They just take a different approach to it.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's way more emotional for those smaller businesses.
100%. 100%.
Which makes it more tricky. Yeah, amazing. And then I guess from there, moving on from kind of getting that to expanding. What was the kind of the main kind of driver to then start to think about acquiring more businesses?
So our organic growth had slowed, and during lockdown, I started a podcast. And podcast Business Insider Secrets I wasn't able any longer to go and network with people. And I was going to networking events, asking people how they'd scaled and grown their business. What did you do to grow your business? What could I steal, basically?
Yeah.
What did you screw up for me to avoid? And you couldn't do that. So I thought, well, I'll just start a podcast. Anyway, someone came on my podcast on one day and said, I had a business doing $1 million on one day. And the next day I had a £2 million business. And I couldn't get my head around it. I was like, what do you mean? He said, well, I just acquired a business doing £1 million worth of revenue and put them together. I was like, no, okay, I need to do that. So our organic growth was slowing. And I was like, okay, let's go on this acquisition journey and start acquiring businesses. And then, which is what we've done. And that's now led to us setting up our own private equity fund to go and raise £10 million or $10 million to go and acquire bigger businesses.
Okay.
So we're taking that now to the next level by acquiring businesses.
Yeah. So what's the kind of I don't know 5-year kind of goal for you and the business?
To carry on scaling and growing, to build out expandly into 24 countries, and to have a global expansion network where someone can be anywhere in the world, click a button and expand their business. And we're starting in e-commerce. It's what we do right now. But we could probably do that to virtually every business in the world once we've done that. So we'll then have a secondary piece. So you'll have an e-commerce piece and then potentially a non-e-commerce piece, because it's the same thing. They still need to solve their compliance, their logistics and their sales channels. And that's what Expandly does. So next 5 years is to be in 24 countries. And then from there, who knows?
Yeah, God, it's if the last 5 years are anything to go by, it's going to be an exciting time, though, right?
Yeah, or a headache, one or the other.
Yeah. Right, so I've got three questions for you, just to kind of finish up. What would you say is the one kind of defining personal character trait that you have that you think has kind of driven you to this, to these levels and got you to where you are today?
Be curious to learn more, I guess. And what I mean by that is that everything I've done along the journey, I've been keen to educate myself. The biggest mistake we make is that we think educating ourselves around our life after we're 18 is like going to a maths and history lesson. So after college, I didn't educate myself on anything until I started doing wedding photography, because I didn't need to. I didn't know what I didn't know, and I was happy not knowing what I didn't know.
Yeah.
And then as I went on the journey of learning wedding photography, acquisitions, whatever, everything I've done, I've been like, well, let's just go and learn how to do that. So when you've got no money, but you've got time, you can use YouTube. Everything you need to learn is on YouTube. Anything. I mean, maybe rocket science stuff. I got no idea, but everything you need to learn. So if you've got time but no money, you use YouTube. If you've got money and no time, which is where I am now. So when I did the wedding photography, I had time and no money. So I spent hours looking at how to pose a bride, how to edit a photo, and spent time on YouTube doing that. Now what I do is I don't have time, but I've got cash. I can then go and do a course for 30 or 50 grand in a year in a mastermind, really dive deep into a subject to use that and get the best expertise the industry possibly has to move myself to the next level. And the difference being that now I've spent hundreds of thousands of pounds on educating myself, whether it be acquisitions, speaking, frameworks, marketing, sales, all of those things have given me the ability to get to the next step. And sometimes you do something and don't realise you even need it. And I have a habit of learning something and thinking, I don't know if I'm going to use it. And then I adapt it and twist it and mould it and shape it. And then 2 years later, I'm like, I could use that now.
Yeah.
So it's not always stuff that's super relevant always at the time. It's just what I'm excited about. So be curious to learn what other people have done ahead of you on the journey. Yeah. So you need to educate yourself to do that. But like that podcast, 1 million to 2 million. Well, how did you do that? And then I become curious. Well, what did you do to do that? So I messaged the guy afterwards and I'm like, how did you learn this? He said, well, you can go and do this for free, or you can pay and go and do this and learn from the experts. So if I trundled to do this course, it was 10 grand, give or take, for this course. And I've probably spent 40 grand on it since.
Blimey.
In different ways, forms or things to really make sure that what I'm doing is making us different.
Yeah.
So you talk about the 20 years, but there's also the £250,000 worth of investment in education, learning, training and developing to get to the next level.
And I guess that becomes quite important, because I guess it's quite easy for people that have kind of gone on a journey to not feel like they need to learn more.
Yeah, definitely. But the other thing there is that everyone thinks they know everything, and they definitely don't, and I definitely don't either. You know, I might have some clever frameworks that I do stuff, and I may have some ways that I've done it, and it may look great.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean it's always perfect. I'm always looking to adapt it and tweak it and change it. But I think the one thing I definitely learned was that trying to get further ahead, I could have done it much quicker. And I could have done it by letting equity go in some of my businesses to people that are further ahead of me on the journey that could have supported.
Yeah.
Instead of having 100% of nothing, I could have had 75% of something that's worth £1 million.
Yeah.
Like, that's much better. And most business owners, people that stay, UK stats is there's 5.5 million businesses, and the 99% of those don't go past £1 million. And the reason they don't is because they think they can do it all themselves.
Yeah.
Instead of thinking, okay, if I let some equity go and brought someone as an equity partner because they're invested. I'm not talking about a coach or a consultant. I'm talking about someone who's invested, who's been where you've been and where you want to get to.
Yeah.
Someone's got proof, a track record. Mate, here's 25%. Help me take this from here to here. That doesn't mean to say they're going to come and work and sit in the office with you and do work. What it means is it's going to give you the structure and the strategy to get you from where you are today to that 2, 3, 5, 10 million.
Yeah. And I think having worked with you over the years, one thing you are pretty good at is recognizing areas that aren't really your strength, and then you kind of go and get somebody that's going to do that, and put 100%. A lot of trust into that person for them to kind of do that job, which is
thing there is I don't tend to micromanage people, so I sort of say, here's the job, you crack on, do it, I'm going to trust them to do it. And that does bite me on the arse. So that definitely is a problem sometimes, but sometimes it's great because people feel empowered to go and do the job, and there's a delicate balance between the two. But people don't want to be micromanaged. You bring good people in to do the job. They probably know the job better than you. Let them crack on.
Yeah, really cool. Would you change anything?
Everything. I wouldn't change anything as far as the journey has got me here today. Why would I need to change that? I've had lots of things that have worked and more that haven't worked. Every single one of those have shaped me to do what I've done and where I've been. And I think we're scared to fail because most of the time we associate failing with fear of some sort. But ultimately failing is just, it didn't work in that form. What can we do to adapt and change it? So it's not failure, it's a learning. And I know that's getting a bit boring. People are starting to say that a lot now. It's not failure, it's learning. But it is true. What would I change? I talked about probably letting some equity go in some of the businesses earlier to bring in more expertise. And I'm not talking about bringing in funding with private equity or investors, because investors will give you some cash, bugger off, and not give you anything in return. So you have this methodology where, okay, well, I'll take some investment on. What that means is someone's going to give you some cash for your equity, but they're going to bugger off and leave you alone. What I'm talking about is giving someone some equity for nothing, in most cases, who can come in and support you to grow the business. On a consultancy basis almost. And normally as a non-exec director type role works really, really well. So they're turning up a few times a month to help you, but they're not sat at the table with you.
No.
And for me, that's probably the one thing I would change.
Got it.
Going forwards. I'm doing that. I talked about the private equity funds. We're raising money in the private equity fund. The goal is to sell that for 100 million.
Right.
So I've given away equity in that for someone to help me because I've never done that. So I'm giving equity away to someone and that could cost me 20 million. but I'm happy to do that because someone knows how to do it that I don't.
Yeah.
And that's well worth the risk.
And like you say, you end up with 80% of 100 million is a lot better than 100% of 10 million.
Yeah, well, it doesn't actually quite work in that way from a private equity fund. But what you're saying is the emphasis of that is correct. You're better off with 20% of something worth 100 million maybe than 100% of something that's worth nothing.
Yeah.
Just doesn't adapt it.
Yeah, I like what you said about failure as well. I think that's definitely a big thing. I think you're right. It gets a bit boring when people say, "Oh, it's not a failure." I actually think, there's a lot of hype around "don't be afraid to fail." I actually think people should embrace it.
Yeah.
Because if you go out with that mindset of, not necessarily that you want to fail, but if you do fail, then it is going to be it is just going to form part of your journey. Like, I don't know one successful entrepreneur that's kind of gone through their journey without making a mistake.
Stephen Bartlett's got this Diary of a CEO has got this thing where he's got a failure team.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So their goal is to just go and fail. And if you've got budget to do that, I'm all for that.
Yeah,
but I do think that the team should be encouraged to fail, but there's got to be some parameters. So you can't fail that's going to lose the business.
Yeah.
So, excuse me, it has to be relative to the context of the business. So it could be trying Google ads. It could be trying Facebook ads. It could be doing partnerships. It could be SEO. It could be, and I'm talking that's from a operational perspective. How do you implement AI into your business to solve it? What AI can you bring in? Just because that piece of AI didn't work, can you bring another piece in? What do you need to do to tweak and change it? How do you adapt the business all the time to bring and trial different things in?
Yeah.
And the downside when you extract yourself from the business and the business is running without you, no one wants to let the business owner down because they've been empowered to run this team. And they're like, well, we don't want to foul at that because we're going to let Andy down. What they don't realise is by not trying it, they're not progressing and moving forwards. So they're not actually moving the business forward because they're not even trying.
Yeah.
And that's counterintuitive because it's not they're not trying. It's just that they're scared to fail because they don't want to let you down.
Yeah.
So that's how you embrace that as a culture, I guess.
Yeah. And again, I think you were really good at I'm a bit, I used to be a bit sporadic with ideas that I'd come up with, and you're one of the very few people I'd go in and be like, I've got this idea, and you go on then, go and do it. I'd be like, what? Go and try it.
And some of those worked, and some of those didn't.
Yeah, true.
And actually, as an individual, because I might have already done all of those. I already know which ones are going to work or not.
Yeah.
In some cases, I'm not freaking clairvoyant, but in my mind, I've learnt because I've had those successes and failures. But you haven't.
Yeah.
Or the person hasn't. So unless you go and have those failures, you're not going to learn either.
Yeah.
So actually, it's important to let people to do that as long as it doesn't cost the business.
Yeah.
And that's the delicate balance that I've definitely fallen foul on, where I have let people experiment too much, where we haven't lost the business, but the business has suffered significantly because of it.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the business needs a solid structure to make sure it works. And structure, I mean a proper North Star, right? A plan, and the right people that can guide that.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, the business just won't flourish.
Yeah.
It'll go off doing all these different things, but it's not in a structure. And think of structure like the hull of a boat. What makes the business float.
Yeah.
And the word there is float, because you want the business to float, at least. Like, you don't want it to literally, you don't want it to sink.
No.
So you've got to give people the structure to enable the business to float.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And again, I think, I think it was you that actually said this was, or you said this quite a lot when we were in like board meetings, was basically like, is that going to contribute to that North Star? Yep. If the answer is yes, then we should look at it. If the answer is no, then we put it to one side and maybe, come back at it another time.
So that comes to like the Polaris of the business, right? The North Star, right? What's the vision, mission, values of really where you're really trying to get to? So expandly, globally expand brands. If what they're trying to do will not globally expand a brand, I don't want to do it. It's just pointless. Will that enable a business to globally expand? Yes or no? That's yes. Okay, next question down.
Yeah.
What's the mission? Mission is to change the way the world expands their business. Okay, will it help change the way the business is going to expand? Like via software or a new piece of whatever? Yeah, it will. Okay, great. Next, you see where you start going down layer.
Yeah.
It gives people inside the business a decision tree to work. Now, is that perfect? No, it's not always perfect. Of course it's not. Is there mistakes? Of course there is. But it gives some structure.
Yeah.
And that's why you need that Polaris in any business.
Yeah, it's almost like the boundaries, yeah. They know how to kind of, where they're kind of...
Yeah, it's that structure.
Yeah.
It's, if you imagine the hull of a boat, the hull of a boat is the bit that floats on the water. So you've given them the area in which they can operate. So they can go anywhere inside the boat and they can do anything on the boat. But if all of a sudden it means they've got to jump over and swim, it's just not going to work.
No.
So don't do it.
Yeah.
And that way it means that when you're not in the business, decisions can be made and questions can be answered without you being there.
Yeah.
And ultimately as a business owner, you don't want to be in the business.
No.
You want to be, we talked about soaring above it.
Yeah.
And you can only do that if decisions can be made and questions can be answered without you.
Yeah, it's really cool. So that having that kind of structure, and then, not only does it help the business move forward and give you really kind of, keep everything on track, but it also gives you the opportunity to kind of, step away and let the business kind of run itself.
Exactly that.
All right, last question for me. If you could give the people that are listening to this podcast one thing to take away, what would it be?
When you're running a business, it's hard work. When you're trying to run a family, it's hard work. You need to find a way of making sure that you can keep all that together, and you do that by understanding where you are today and where you want to get to, and have a personal plan. So here's the thing. Everyone thinks that a business runs around a business plan, but that's wrong. Let me tell you why. The business plan is, this is where the business is today and this is where we want to get it to. But a business is run by a business owner.
Yeah.
If the business owner doesn't turn up motivated, enthusiastic, with everything in their life happy, the business doesn't work. So the business owner needs a plan for them and their family unit. So you come up together. Now, depending on your age, will depend on how long that is. If you're 25 years old, like between 25 and 30, a lot can happen. So you only need a 3 to 5 year plan. If you're 40, you could have a 10-year plan because things are a bit more settled in your life, right? So it gives you the ability to go, where am I now as an individual and where do I want to be in 10 years? So give you an example. At 40, I put my first 10-year plan together. Just to let you all know, I'm not 50 yet, so I'm not at the end of it. But the goal was to get to 50 with the ability and freedom to do what I want. That was the overarching vision. And what I meant by that was I didn't want to be worrying about where my money was coming from. That was sort of the influence. I wanted like the mortgage paid off. Over those years, because you can achieve more in 10 years than you think possible, and you can't do as much in a year as you think possible. So it's a Tony Robbins quote that's there. But ultimately, over that 10 years, you can go, well, that's where I want to be. So how am I going to get there? And then what you have is, so I have 12 goals for 10 years.
Right.
And they are all completely aligned between me, my wife and family unit, right? We all know what those goals are, broadly. Like we don't all jump into each other's and support each other, but we all know what we're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
And over the years, they can morph and twist, but the vision really needs to stay the same. So these business owners need a plan.
These are personal. These 12 things you've got, they're more geared towards the where you want your family to be in 10
you
years.
And the family. So it's a personal 10-year plan, because everyone focuses on the business, which means they forget about the business owner, which is what makes them happy, and the family. And if the business owner turns up and they're stressed and hassled because they haven't been to the gym, they haven't been on holiday, they haven't, exercised, they haven't, for me, haven't spent time on the water, they haven't whatever, right? They're going to be stressed. Then add together, because they're stressed, the business is struggling and not making much money. The person at home, because they're always at work, right? The person at home is complaining. So all of a sudden, the business is struggling, the family unit's cracking, and the business owner's stressed.
Yeah.
That only ends in one way.
Yeah.
So a 10-year plan says, where am I today and where do I want to be in 10 years? And I say 10 years because the younger you are, the less time you need, right? Could be 5 years. But ultimately, what are you trying to achieve in that time frame that's going to enable the business, you as an individual, to grow, and therefore the business?
Yeah.
And the business is a byproduct of you progressing, engaging, growing, and then simplifying everything.
And then I guess the other part to that really is that in times when you are in Austin, London, and the wife's getting a bit like, when do we get to see you?
Yep.
She's aware that, well, actually, this is all contributing towards our plan. So then it makes that kind of side of things easier, I guess.
100%. So example of that is, I've traveled a lot. During COVID, I traveled less, but then I traveled more. And if your partner is completely aligned with that, the 10-year goal is to be, to have get to 50 with the ability and freedom to do what you want. And along that journey, part of her plan, in my case, her plan, but in your family unit, your significant other's part of my wife's plan was she wanted a horse and she wanted to spend time. She wanted to enable herself to spend time with a horse, all that sort of stuff, right? When they start seeing that stuff, because you've then got the ability and the funds to do those things, all of a sudden, when you're away for exactly that, I was away in Austin last week, London this week, Cape Town next week. I'm not around much this month. It's all okay.
Yeah.
Because the business has moved in the direction you want. They're achieving the things they want in their plan. It isn't just you've got your plan, but they've got their plan. And it's not, you don't have to, I probably take it to the extreme. I write it down every single day.
Really?
And for nearly 8 years, virtually every day I've written down my 10-year goals.
The same goals?
Same goals. 10 years.
Why do you write them down every day?
Because I remember them.
So it's like
every day,
a daily reminder of what you want.
Every day I want to get to 50 with the ability and freedom to do what I want. And by the fact you're writing it down every single day, coming back to the boring, consistent stuff, writing that every day is boring. Really boring. So now, do I do that? I used to do that every 7 days a week. I probably only do it 4 days a week now. And when I'm traveling, I definitely do it because it keeps me focused. Because then in my head, I know that one of my goals is to get to 50 with the ability and freedom to do what I want. That everything is gearing towards that.
Yeah.
Simple.
Yeah, that's incredible. And I'm guessing you're on track for it. And yes.
Well, I've already got the ability and freedom to do what I want. So I thought originally that was financial freedom. But in reality, it's not financial freedom. Obviously, that helps, right? You've got to have the finances to have the ability and freedom to do what you want. But I've got 10 businesses. I don't work in any of them.
Yeah.
I am free. So I've got the ability and freedom to do what I want. This year I've been on holiday 6, 7, 8 times. I travelled all Austin, Cape Town. I've been to Morocco. I've been to Lanzarote. I've been to the States 5 times. Because I can do what I want when I want. Yeah. Because I'm not no business is dependent on me.
Yeah.
So I've actually achieved that, but I didn't realise that's what it meant when I started it. I thought that meant I'd paid off my mortgage.
Got it.
I thought it meant I'd have paid off my mortgage and I'd have, 50 grand a year coming in that I could live off of.
Yeah.
One, I probably couldn't live off 50 grand now.
Not with holidays.
No, but it's that changes.
Yeah.
Because so the plan has changed and developed. Like one of the things was to have rented properties. I got zero interest in property. I just thought it was the right thing to do. But now it's don't invest in property, you invest in businesses. Yeah. So I've adapted the plan, although the plan still says you rent 5 properties because that was the goal. Now it's buy 50 businesses.
Yeah.
But the plan is still the same because it's in my head.
Yeah. Incredible. Yeah, it's been incredible talking to you. Thank you so much for coming along. We haven't really talked too much about stems.
No,
which is basically exactly what we've been talking about the whole way through. But do you want to give a little overview of what stems is and what you've been doing with that?
Yeah, so stems. So having you worked in 10 businesses, I've had 18 businesses. We've acquired 10, sold 2, and that gives a delta of a few because they haven't all worked. And we developed stems so that I could extract myself from the business and I could work without them. So stems is scale to extract management system. It's a management and operating system for a business owner to extract themselves from the day-to-day operations of the business so that instead of working in or working on the business, they soar above it.
Yeah.
To give them trust, visibility and confidence. And it's basically the framework we use to implement when we acquire or invest in a business. So we use, and you'd have used when we did Expandly, when we acquire a business, we use a process called OATS, Observe, Assess, Track, Shift. So when we do any investment or acquisition, we go through an OATS process. But now what we do is we do that process based on stems. So we've got stems in the background because you're observing, assessing what they're doing based on a fundamental philosophy of how to scale and grow a business. And that's how so we now buy and sell businesses and invest using our stems philosophy. And it's got its own software. We've created our own software. I say I came up with an idea while I was sat in a conference in Dubai at the beginning of this year we've got this philosophy for stems. Why don't we have a piece of software? Use a piece of software. I'm not a coder. I'm not a developer. And I literally went on and gave command prompts and created my own software.
Yeah.
So if I can do it, anyone can do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, stems is a management operating philosophy to take businesses from that 1 to 5 million phase where they're screwed. They're literally in the grease of the business to taking them to 10 million. So they're completely out of the business and their business is a valuable business asset.
Yeah. Amazing.
That's it really.
Yeah. Amazing. How can people find out more information about stems and get in contact with yourself?
Go to Andy G. Hooper on any of the social media platforms or andyghooper.com. And that's where I am. And Andy G. Hooper is because there's a photographer called Andy Hooper. Now, when you've got a business called Andy Hooper Photography as well, that is definitely an issue.
Yeah.
And I first found out about him when Oscar Pistorius.
Oh, yeah.
Andy Hooper, the photographer, the photographer, not the wedding photographer, he took all the photos of Oscar Pistorius, of him with his blades and the leopard or the cheetah or whatever it was. And when he went through his troubles, I got thousands of emails. I woke up one morning, it's like 1,000 emails of people wanting his photo.
No way.
Yeah. And I was like, I don't have that photo. So I started Googling Andy Hooper. And I'm like, wow.
Oh,
so anyway, Andy, so if you Google Andy Hooper and you find a photographer, that is not my photography, although I'd love to claim some credit for it. You need Andy G. Hooper across all the platforms.
Perfect. Mate, thank you so much for coming along. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. I've really enjoyed the conversation. And yeah, I think people are going to get a lot from this. So really appreciate it.
Nice. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
Cheers.